Thank you, Riv. All right, 1-0, Team Liquid. Not looking good for you guys in your predictions, I have to say.
It's not looking good for Zion.
Zion's already out. You're out. You two, you're still okay. There's an opportunity for you.
Gambit UOL, man. 1-0, then just sweep it afterwards. No.
All right, so then let's break it down, though. How are your predictions going to come true here? Because Team Liquid, we've said, looking at Piglet being kind of the guy to break that mentality of the losing streak against Cloud9, he built that lead.
Yeah.
He and Xpecial built that lead against Sneaky and Elimination in the top lane.
Yeah, I have to say I am absolutely very impressed with this Piglet Xpecial bottom lane. I think, guys, we need a nickname for these guys. We have Rush Hour. You know, we have all these great names for good duos. Well, here's what's looking like the best duo in North America now. I know 40 minutes ago I'm like, Sneaky's #1. Well, Piglet's challenging the throne really heavily here. To talk more about why that lane happened, though, why that lead happened. As far as you consider the supports, Janna versus Morgana, whoever pushes has a really big lead there, because if Morgana pushes and her lane pushes, you can go over binding snipes. And Janna has no harass, she has no sustain, you land a binding, that lane gets really chunked out and it's free. If the Janna lane gets to push, there's all these minions in the way and Morgana can't fish for bindings, and she becomes useless, right? Her shield doesn't stop attack damage, her CC doesn't mean anything, the pool damage doesn't matter at this point. So the push lead was a really big deal. Now the problem is, C9's level 1. They have Morgana run around in the jungle like looking for where the starts are, and hey, she stops the blue buff steal, grats for her, but she leaves Sneaky in a 1-on-2. Sneaky misses some CS, Sneaky gets pushed in, and now you're in a holding pattern the entire lane long where Sneaky's getting pushed in, Sneaky's getting pushed in. Minions were close, but Sneaky's potion got used, Morgana's potions got used, and they even stopped enough recalls that they could go for like a super late level 6 mid laner dive. But like, all that was from the level 1 and getting a minion wave pushed in.
Yeah, and basically a ton of that, you talk about the potion getting used, was Piglet getting those Qs through the minion wave and lining them up perfectly. So they created a huge advantage off of Piglet. And this was a very different style from Team Liquid than we saw during the regular season. I know, Zion, you talked about that, where it's like they don't really play to Piglet during the regular season. And now it's completely different Team Liquid that Cloud9, if they were looking at the prep coming into this game, they were looking at a completely different Team Liquid.
Yeah, like the Team Liquid at this end of the split, like they came together, but what they came together with is they're not controlling Quas's lane anymore. Quas isn't the carry, Piglet is the carry, Piglet's the star. They're setting up the whole game for Piglet to get ahead, and then C9 has this comp where they need Draven to get ahead. And then Gragas is starting bottom side, Gragas can't help them. Lemon's like invading blue buff and trying to like stop, give balls a little bit of an advantage, but it's not doing anything because Piglet is getting ahead. And you look at that double tank comp with Lucian and Janna, the only way they're winning the game is if Lucian gets ahead, and Lucian got ahead, and C9 didn't do anything to stop that.
That's the next thing I want to talk about, is the way these team comps worked out in Cloud9 being so heavily AD against this full tank comp, relying on Sneaky needing that early lead that they can kind of bulldoze their way through them and not let the tanks get to power, but they did regardless. So do you think that's a little bit of hubris, a little bit of cockiness? They're going for the Draven pick early along with the Corki?
The idea is that you snowball the Draven with his passive very early and you crush that lane, and then he just is so much further ahead of everybody in terms of power spikes, but he didn't get to that point, he didn't get to cash in, and then he fell behind. And to the credit of Piglet, his spacing in team fights around his tanks is incredible. The way he's playing that 500 range Lucian, he's basically forming an Illuminati triangle with him. He's like, you two in front, I'll be right behind you at this perfect range the entire time.
And shooting everybody out. Yeah, I mean, to touch on your point about the team comps, C9 relies very heavily on their mid game going well, right? Jat talked about it on the cast. It's a massively AD team against a whole bunch of tanks. Big surprise, eventually the tanks outscale when they only have to buy Thornmails. But they've got 2 Triforce uses in Hecarim and the Corki. They went for AD Corki and not like the Luden's Echo Poke style, so it's like really about that first 2 items coming in there. And it almost worked. Like, the team fights are pretty close, actually. C9 had the ability to use this mid-game power spike to actually win a couple of fights. And in fact, we have a dragon fight that sort of illuminates that, where C9 like say, okay, we're spiked up, this is the time we're gonna go for the battle, and we're going to flip the game around, but you know,
Speaking of which, let's pull that up. We're going to get that on your screens. Dragon fight, where yes, you're right. It's kind of that mid-game position where they can totally cash in on the Sneaky stacks. However, there's some slight mispositioning.
Yeah, Sneaky's positioning in this fight is a little questionable, and Phoenix is stalking him before this even starts. They're pinging him out, saying that they're going to be able to collapse on him. So as soon as they get this dragon, Team Liquid decide up and out, and then Sneaky looks for the flank here, but his positioning right there, he goes for the extra auto instead of ducking into the bush, which is unwarded. He would have been able to avoid the Lissandra ultimate if he had just gone inside the brush after throwing the E.
And just, I mean, obviously, like, really great flankability by Phoenix. And the thing is, C9 should have known about where Phoenix was coming from. He came from mid lane where there's minions, and, you know, the lack of awareness there, it's really unfortunate seeing that kind of misplay. You typically see players this caliber aware of where flankers are coming from, aware of what champions are on what side of the map. And that's the big risk of playing Draven. It's why we don't see him often competitive is, look, he might be really good and he might snowball really hard, but you have so little room for mistakes that if you make that mistake and you die and lose 150 stacks on Adoration, well, guess what? The entire reason you picked Draven's gone.
Yeah, Zion, I want to ask you because C9 is now in a bit of a deficit there. They've lost this mid-game fight that they maybe expected to win, which is why they engaged it. We later saw them win, or not win, they got a pick, rather, Onyx Special. And we saw them instead hover around the top side around Baron as opposed to go for the dragon that was up. Talk to me about what you would have done in that situation with your team in terms of communication, because they seem to stall out, and it's something that normally Cloud9 is so decisive, right? Normally they get a pick, they know exactly what they're doing. They kind of ran in circles for a minute, and what would have been the better outcome there?
Well, the thing I love about C9 is, like, more than any other team, they are so good at playing from behind. You know, they, like, find those picks, they get the vision out, and they are just split pushing all the time, like forcing you to group, forcing you to make that decisive, like Baron call, decisive dragon call, and push down. So C9's always splitting them up because that's the only thing they can do. They can't win these straight team fights, and looking for picks where they can, getting the vision they can. And, you know, they got that catch on Janna. They got, like, some good poke with Corki, but they were just so far behind. But that's what I love about C9 is they're always fighting and they're clawing their way back in, like getting those inner turrets when they can. And I think that's the kind of play that allows them to, you know, come back from games where, you know, honestly, most teams would probably just, like, caved in at 20 minutes when Piglet's 2-0. But, you know, C9's trying to, like, find their way back into the game, and that's what I just really like about watching them.
All right, finally, I want to touch on what we might see change here, picks and bans, real quickly. I know, Zyrene, you had mentioned before that if Cloud9 win, they probably keep things just about the same. If they lose, maybe get rid of that Sejuani, as it is such a comfortable pick for Dominate.
Yeah, now they give over a lot of different things because they banned the Vlad, Lulu, and Urgot. Those are pretty much all first pick worthy by Team Liquid, and so is Sejuani. And so if you're going to run a double AD composition again, I want to see the Sejuani taken off the table in favor of one of those picks.
And as far as things I think that did go well, though, I actually like the fact that we saw Hecarim come out here in the top lane for C9. Now that we know Liquids are playing very Piglet focused, it seems like C9 are aware of this. They're like, oh, Quasla Island, let's pick up a lane bully. Let's get a lead here in our top laner. Unfortunately, Hecarim does this and then kind of comes down after the Triforce power spike, so maybe something that has even farther reach into the game. I still like top lane Vlad, for example, if they can get that through picks and bans. Obviously, they banned it here, but something to that effect where Balls can beat up on Quas, he knows it's an island, and then scale from there.
All right, speaking about the top lane, Zion, you've gone up against Balls. What else does he have in his pool aside from Hecarim? We heard Jat mention the Maokai, not necessarily a carry, but a different playstyle that they've definitely preferred before. What would you go for?
Balls can, like, really play anything, honestly. I've seen him pull out the Gnar, the Maokai, Rumble, anything. I think what C9 really needs to do is kind of choose their identity and style that they're going to go with. So you saw Team Liquid, they went with the tanky Sion bottom, and they're like, okay, we're going to pressure Liquid's lane. C9 was like, let's pick Draven, let's pick Hecarim, but we're going bottom. You know, they have to choose, like, are they going to play the tank bottom and pressure topside so they have a safe lane bottom when they're pressuring topside to stop Piglet? Or are they going to be like, all right, let's get Balls going against Quas, let's set them up on Hecarim again, but this time we're not going to go for the Draven pick top so that we have, like, a safe AD carry, like a Corki or something.
All right, well, the teams have a few more minutes to lock in their strategies. Keep it tuned right here, because after the break, it's on to Game 2 between Team Liquid versus Cloud9. You're watching the North American LCS.
Okay.
Unbutton it. Let me see it. Let me see it. No,
No,
unbutton
no.
it.
Unbutton
I
all
was
the way.
reading a Reddit that says you
Charlie.
should never button the bottom one on your suit.
Charlie Moore.
Yeah, unbutton. Let me see.
Okay, do you want to play it for me?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, go ahead.
Sneaky way too deep on that one. Didn't know Phoenix was just
Can he get the
above
kill?
him.
No,
He could.
he
No,
can't.
he does not cash in on that. Lemonation's about to take one more Q from Phoenix.
He's slowed. I can tank.
Corgi to the back, Corgi to the back.
Corki.
He flashed in. He flashed in.
I'm tanking.
Yeah, nice. Phoenix special and Piglet as they answer this one. Piglet off to the side, do the explosive cast, but he dies right over the wall. A double kill to start off the fight. He can only live for so long. The Guardian Angel keeping Piglet safe. He goes deep. The crits are hitting. The crits are counting. Game 1, 20-7, 40 minutes on the clock. Team Liquid bring it to game 2. 1 up.